Joining us on set today is Austin Shaver. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 8 of COMMCast. I'm your host, Michaela Moxie. COMMCast is a production of the Longwood University Communication Studies Department and the COMM 434 COMM Lab class. This show is dedicated to highlighting the Longwood and Farmville communities. Today's episode is about Austin Shaver and his journey back to Farmville, so let's get started. Joining us on set today is Austin Shaver, Longwood's Deputy Athletics Director for External Operations. Austin has had numerous roles within athletics here, and we are excited to learn more about his professional journey and to talk about college athletics. So Austin, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So my first question is, knowing you spent a lot of time in Farmville as a child with your dad coaching down the road at Hampton-Sydney, what brought you back to Farmville?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, it's a place that's been a big part of my life, and spent a lot of my time here in some formative years. So, when I chose my initial profession and was in the coaching world, as a Division I basketball coach, you don't necessarily get to choose opportunities on where they are and when they happen. You just know you want to work at good places with good people. So. Was in coaching at the time when the opportunity popped up with Coach Aldridge here at Longwood. Obviously, it was an easy decision, having familiarity with him and familiarity with the town and the community in Longwood as well. So, good.
I totally understand that with the connection. You coached basketball for 14 seasons. Out of those 14 seasons, what do you feel you have learned about student athletes as a whole?
That's a lot. One of the biggest things, and not to oversimplify it, but is just how much they're capable of. Just to have the demands of just college from an academic standpoint, social standpoint, that's enough and hard to handle in its own, but to put a full Division I sport on top of that with film, weights, practice, obviously games, it's just impressive to see how much they can handle. And the character that builds. I think that's the biggest thing, and then I think the second part of that is just the character traits they build through succeeding and failing publicly. I think we all do that in some parts of our lives, but they do that often and early throughout their college careers, and that builds character and just traits that really prepare them for challenges and jobs and parenthood later in life. So I think that would be couple of the biggest things that I've noticed.
And I bet it's very fulfilling for you to see that team evolve together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's, if you boil it down to one thing, one of the biggest just joys of the job is to see teams come together, struggle, succeed, figure things out, and ultimately, you hope for success. But that's definitely a sense of joy for sure. So
how is your experience as a coach? How did that help you approach coming to administration? Yeah, I think that is basically my perception. How I look at situations and problems and challenges is strongly influenced to my time as a coach. So I spent 14 or 15 years doing that. So I think bringing that perspective to an administrative setting influences all the decisions I make, all the interactions that I have, having done it, having been on good teams and bad teams and great successes and just, serious challenges as well, I've learned a ton from that. So that perspective, I think being able to bring that into basically my daily life as an administrator is what makes the biggest difference. So you have had many roles within athletics. If you had to reflect on an experience you have implemented in your day-to-day work, now what would it be?
Yeah, I think the best way I can say it is, I've worked with so many different kinds of people, from young people on teams to donors and administrators and people from so many different backgrounds. I think it's just approach I try to take is to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think people are inherently good. People are facing challenges that even if you're with them every day, you may just not know or not understand. So if you approach it and give them the benefit of the doubt and understand that the way they're reacting or handling a situation there may be more beneath the surface that you need to be aware of and attempt to understand. And the biggest thing I would say is that doesn't mean you don't hold people accountable and you don't have high standards, but I think if you approach situations with that mindset, it can really influence your decision making and my decision making.
Interesting. Between name, image, likeness, the transfer portal, etc., what are your concerns or thoughts on how college athletics is changing?
Sure, and they're definitely changing. I mean, I think we're in a world where the foundation is completely shifting in college athletics, and I fully support a lot of the changes in terms of we've swung to the side of student athlete rights, which I obviously fully support. I do think student athletes should be able to profit off name, image, and likeness, and participate in revenue sharing that they help generate. So there's some really good things going on, but there is a foundational shift in what college athletics looks like. So I'm excited for a lot of those challenges. I do think that one of the things that I hope we can hold on to and create is that sense of community between student athletes, colleges, the campus community, the Farmville community in our case, and I hope we don't lose that strong connection. I think as an administrator in athletics, that's something we're actively trying to, not attack as a problem, but just change the way we approach things like that, and through social media and different ways. But you have to basically take a process that used to take 2 or 3 years of getting to know athletes and coaches, and sometimes shrink that down into even 6 months or a year. So we're proactively trying to strengthen those relationships between the campus and community, and I do think with a lot of the movement and moving parts in college athletics, it's become more difficult and requiring a little more creativity.
Awesome. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with COMMCast Trivia. Sorry about the beginning there. It's time for everyone's favorite segment, COMMCast Trivia. So our first question for you is, how many players are on the lacrosse field at once?
12. Feel pretty good on that one.
Correct.
All right, 1 for 1.
You're doing good so far. When was field hockey founded?
No idea. Long time ago. I'll go with that.
Well, the answer is 1901,
right.
Which that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was that old.
Half credit for that, but.
Can field players go in the crease during a lacrosse game besides the goalie, and if so, who?
I know offensive players can't. I assume maybe defensive players can, but I'm obviously not real confident in that answer. So.
That is correct. There's 1 defense player is allowed.
All right.
What are the differences in the balls? What are the differences in the balls used for field hockey and lacrosse?
I don't know the technical answer, but the field hockey ball is a lot harder of a substance, and the lacrosse ball has a little more bounce and elasticity, I guess, to it. That's as far as I know.
Well, yeah, that was right. It's color, weight, and material, and I have been told that a lacrosse ball really hurts.
It does. They both do.
How many players are allowed on the field for one team during a field hockey match?
I believe it's 11.
That would be correct. You're killing this, actually. Okay, final question.
Uh-oh.
When is the next Longwood women's lacrosse game?
In about 2.5 hours at 4 o'clock. So I'll
That's correct.
be there for that one for sure.
You know what? You were worried for nothing. You killed that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you to Austin Shaver for joining us today. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes with CommLab, and thank you for watching. Join us live next Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. and 2 p.m. on YouTube for a double dose of CommCast.